Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup. Today we're going to be continuing work on SaturnCI, my continuous integration platform that I'm working on. I will first share my screen and show you where I'm at with the project. So this is the staging environment, and I have SaturnCI running its own test suite. So you can see here, the first several test runs failed before I got everything completely working, but now it's been passing for a while. And if you click these links on the left here, you can get some detail on your test runs. The detail right now is quite rough and not very informative. That's something we'll be working on soon. But even before that, there is another defect. So I'm gonna go here. Okay, so I'm at the home page for my project right now. And you can see there's kind of two panes. There's the left one and there's the right one, which is blank right now. And then when I click on a test run, the right pane gets populated. But if I refresh the page, the right pane goes away. And if you watch the URL bar when I click something, it doesn't change. So this isn't great because there's two reasons why this is not great. Like if you click on a test run and then, for example, I don't know, navigate to somewhere else, then click back. Oh, okay. Well, if you click back, it's fine, I guess. Um, but if you refresh the page, that's certainly not good. It goes away. And then what if you want to link somebody to a specific build? There's no way to do that right now. So that's not great. So what I want to do is make it so when you click one of these links to a specific build, it changes the URL. Okay, so I'm going to go from staging to my local environment. And I do not know how to achieve what I want to achieve. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT. When I click a link that goes to a turbo frame, how do I also make the URL get changed? I'm going to share some relevant code also. It's this link. I want that link to change the URL. Let's see what it says. Okay. So I don't immediately see what's different. Looks like it's adding an ID. Okay. So this ID part is what's different. Okay, and I apparently have to add a JavaScript listener. Build frame. Okay. Okay. Well, I can't say that I completely understand this, but I kind of get the gist. It's like we have to modify the link and we have to add some JavaScript to change the URL. I don't understand the details, but I at least understand the big picture. And by the way, I happened to look into this the other day and I asked ChatGPT, like, isn't there a simpler way to do this? Because like this seems kind of complicated for just doing what I want to do. And apparently there's not really a simpler way to do it, at least not that I could uncover. So let's try this. And let's start by writing a test. So how do we test this? I think one way to test it is this. We start on the project page and then we navigate, like we click one of the links and then we refresh the page and we can assert that this pane is still visible. So let's do that. And also, it'd be good to have some easy way to like assert for the presence of this pane. So let's do that. I think this will be build show. So we could do something like build, and then I'll put the build ID. Okay, so that uniquely identifies the build, but there's a couple problems with this. One is that's not really a heading, so let's fix that. Okay, and two, this is like longer than it needs to be. So let's make that shorter. Or he says, why can we not just remove the turbo functionality from the link? Just make it a regular link too. Good question. Well, if we made it a regular link too, then it would just open this up in a completely new page. And I do want to retain the two pane functionality. Let me know if I'm not understanding, if there's something I seem to be missing there, but that's my thought. Okay, so I'm going to change this so it only shows like the first 8 characters. Oh, that's even more than we need. Weird. That shows 9 characters. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Still shows 9. Oh, it didn't save. Okay. Okay, that's better. So I'm going to commit that. And by the way, since I did that, we will now have a build that's running for that commit that I just made, add heading for builds. We'll see the result in a little while. Okay. Project show, build show. We have a small problem. We have build.id 0 to 7, and here we have build.commit hash 0 to 7. We now have some duplication. So I want to squash that duplication. Maybe we can create a helper that's like abbreviated hash or something like that. Okay, so instead of having this here, we can have abbreviated hash. See if that works. Okay, great. Do the same thing over here. See if that works. Oh, yep. And just to prove that it's actually using this, it's like make it way different. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to review my changes first. Okay, looks good. Okay. And that should have kicked off another run. Yep. Okay. So that was just groundwork to be able to write our test. So let's get going on the test. Okay. We will call it, hmm, um, what is this? It's like build navigation, I suppose. Build navigation spec. And I'll copy from some other test. I'll copy the shell. Oh, and I should copy one that involves authentication actually. Okay. So I'm going to create a build. Okay. I have a build and a user. All right. Um, and I'm going to run just that much. Make sure there's no errors. Okay. Oh, and this isn't filter. This is build navigation. Okay. And I'm going to write out my steps in comments. I'm going to say navigate to project show page and then click a link for a build. Assert that the page has the build's ID. Refresh the page. Assert that the page still has the build's ID. And of course, we expect that last step to fail. When I'm first writing a test, I usually don't worry about giving it a meaningful description. So I'm just going to say it works. Okay, now I'm going to fill these in one by one. Navigate to project show page. So visit project path build dot project. Let's see if that works. Apparently did. Okay. Click a link for a build. Well, I don't know how to do that because we don't know what this link is going to say. Maybe we can just add a class to it to make it easy to click. Um, project show. Actually, maybe we can do that DOM ID thing. I don't remember how to do it though. How do I add a DOM ID to this link to make it easily clickable in a test? Oh, I guess that's like the same exact thing it told us to do here anyway. Okay. Okay. And I'm gonna like put this on two different lines to make it easier to read, not just two, few different lines. Okay. Okay, so it's build link and then the build ID. So I'm gonna say click on build link and the build ID, build.id. Okay, let's see if that much works. Unable to find it. Okay. Hmm. Maybe I'm not supposed to use that pound sign. Okay, that seems to have worked. Okay, assert that the page has the build's ID, expect page to have content, build, and then we'll put the build ID, build.id. But of course, it's only going to have the first part of it. Let's see if that works. Apparently does. Okay, now refresh the page. I don't know how to do that. So I'll ask ChatGPT. How do I refresh the page? Oh yeah, I just visit the same URL again. Well, but that's not exactly what I want to do because I want the test to fail when the URL does not get changed and pass when the URL does get changed. And if I just visit the same URL, then it's always just going to go to the project path without that pane open. So that's no good. Oh, visit current URL. Okay. See if that works. Okay. Now we will assert the same thing, and I expect that this will fail. Okay, it did in fact fail. Okay. Now we can try to add some code to make the test pass. Okay, where would we put this code? This code from earlier. Where would I put it? Okay. Hmm. I'm going to tell it I'm using Rails 7. I'm going to say, is there an even simpler way I can do it? Projects show. Okay. I'm going to put it right in the project show page because right now we just want to test it. Okay. We'll see if it does anything for us. Okay, so passes. Let's check the behavior in the browser now. Okay, so now it just goes to this build. So the test is passing not because it actually works, but because this link is now. Oh, weird. Okay. Hmm. Okay. That's surprising. Ha! Okay, that's weird. Okay, so if I click this and then click it again, I'll click it and then refresh and then click this. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, so I want to see this run in the browser. I'm going to look at my Capybara settings. Do I have, hmm, how am I configuring this? I don't see a driver configured anywhere. Okay, Chrome apparently. Okay, can I take away headless? Oh, wait, here. Okay, that went too fast. What is this test called? Build navigation spec. Okay, I'm going to put a binding.pry here and here. Okay, that's not exactly what I meant to do. Put another binding.pry here. There. Okay, so this does not look surprising. And then here it goes to this page. All right, so let's change our test so that it has an assertion for something on the left also. Hmm. Okay, let's say, hmm, we could check for the project name. Take out these pries. Oh, it passed. Okay. Probably, yeah. It has the project. Oh, no, it doesn't have the project name. Well, what is the project name? My project. It certainly doesn't have my project on the page. Okay, yeah, now it failed, but it passed before? Weird. Okay, I actually think I want two separate tests. Okay, describe, clicking, build, link. Okay, so we're always going to visit the project path and click the link. It keeps the left pane. We'll say that. Oh, wait, I want to run just this. Maybe there is a race condition. I'm going to do this. Okay. Yep, now it fails. Okay, so I think there was a race condition. It was checking for the project name and it was saying it found it, but I think it was finding it because it hadn't yet navigated to the build detail page to prevent race condition. Okay. And I'm going to do this also just to make it easier to understand. Build heading, build.id 0 to 7. Oh, sorry, not even that. Build ID 0 to 7. There, now we can see the higher meaning of it a little bit more easily. Okay, so it keeps the left pane, and we also want to see it after refresh keeps right pane. Hmm. Okay. Okay, and I don't know if this is going to pass or fail. Okay, that passed. Okay, so now it's clear what we need to fix. I'm going to run this once more, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to give this to ChatGPT, and I'm going to give this to ChatGPT, and also this, and I'll see what it says. Okay, it thinks something's wrong with my test, it looks like. Or maybe it doesn't. ChatGPT's debugging assistance is often not very good, unfortunately. Okay. Um, let's forget ChatGPT for a minute. The other funny thing is that the behavior when I manually test it is like kind of non-deterministic. Doesn't always behave the same. But one thing's for sure, when I click one of these build links, the URL does not change. So let's look at this code and see what it's actually doing. Let's do this console.log click. Is it picking up this event at all? Yep, looks like it is. Oh, and we have some errors. Okay. I'm going to do this. When when I click a build link, I get these errors. Okay. So what is this actually doing? Okay, it's adding an event listener for each of these links. When we click it, it visits that URL. Hmm, interesting. Can't see anything obviously wrong with this. Hmm. I'm gonna do this. Rails turbo change URL. Is there anything about turbo.visit here? Hmm. Okay. Well, let's do this. Let's take off the turbo.visit. Whoops, that's not how you do a comment in JavaScript. Let's take off the turbo.visit and the history.push state so we can narrow down the source of the issue. Okay, we still get the error without those. That's interesting. What if we like don't have any of those at all? Still get the error. What if we take this away entirely? Still get the error. That's interesting. I'm going to tell it about that. If I take away the JavaScript entirely, I still get the error. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stash all my changes because it looks like we just have an entirely separate bug. Who knows if this bug is what's causing this behavior not to work, but I'd rather fix this bug before trying to implement this behavior. So we're like working with a clean slate. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this. None of this seems particularly helpful. I'm gonna go to the build controller and also build show. I'm gonna say, see any issues here? Incorrect syntax in view. Build.report.count. Okay. Yeah, on line 6 there. I doubt that that's the cause of the issue, but let's see. Yep, not it. Rendering reports and logs. Yeah, that's fine. G sub for new lines, no big deal. Yeah, it was just like looking for flaws very broadly, like not specifically related to the issue we're dealing with right now. Okay, I'm gonna fix that. Fix syntax error. By the way, let's check on our latest few builds here. Okay, everything's green. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna search for turbo, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna say this. Regarding the uncaught syntax error, does this shed any light on the subject? Well, you know what? Let's try something. Build controller. Go to the view for this. Let's just make this empty. See if we still get that error. We don't. Let's try this. Okay. So now we're seeing something in here, but no error. Let's put just this. No error again. Okay. Um, take away all this stuff. Oh, there's no report, so okay. Okay, what if we take away like this table? So it's not that. What if we take away this? I didn't say that. Okay. Okay, so it looks like it's that last little chunk there. And I would bet that it's this pre tag there. Yep, looks like it is. Okay. Um, well, let's tell that to ChatGPT. I figured it out. The culprit is this. How do I fix? You know one easy way to fix it? We can just not show the logs. I want to have that in a separate tab anyway. So
But
let's just
you
do it like
want the
that.
ability to show the logs long term, don't you?
I do.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I want to have this in a tab format.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna say remove logs from build detail pane. Those particular logs weren't that useful anyway. Okay. And I will be surprised if that solves all our troubles. Yeah, the URL still is not getting changed. Okay. But now that error is at least not in the picture. Oh, and the JavaScript is gone. So no wonder it's not working. Let's add the JavaScript back. Okay, so the URL is changing, but it's not keeping the left pane. And that time it did keep the left pane, but the URL did not change. Okay, I'm going to add back the click console.log click. Okay. All right, so the click event is not even registering when we come back. What if I refresh the page? Yes. What if I refresh the page again? Yes. Okay. Okay, so we maybe even have yet more issues, but we'll deal with these one at a time. So the first issue is that when you click, okay, hang on, refresh, click. Yeah, okay. When the page is fresh and you click the link, it doesn't do like a, it doesn't navigate within the frame. The turbo visit doesn't navigate within the frame. It just refreshes. It navigates the whole page. Oh, and I'll say turbo frame. Frame ID matches the turbo frame. Yeah, it does. Okay. The turbo frame works perfectly without your JavaScript. Okay, that's dumb. Like it should have like gone to the next troubleshooting step. Okay, how can I, hang on, I'm gonna open that test file again. How can I achieve my desired behavior using turbo streams? Since it suggested turbo streams. Okay, I'm gonna ask, will the URL get changed when I click the build detail link? Okay, well, that's not what I want. Okay, let's kill this. No, let's bring it back. Okay, so when I click one of these links, let's take away the turbo visit and keep everything else and see what happens. Okay. Oh, let's do this. Let's not do the prevent default. Okay, yeah, of course it went there. That's not surprising. Ha! That seems to work. Okay. So all we needed to do was let it do what it was going to do anyway. Okay, great. Now I'm going to run this and see what happens. I don't think everything's going to pass. What? Oh, okay. Here, I'm missing a test case. After refresh, it keeps the left pane build list. Okay. Yes. Okay, so to show that manually, when we visit a build and then refresh, it takes us to the build detail page, which is right. It doesn't take us to this page. So we need to change the build detail page so it behaves more like this. It needs to include this build list somehow. Let's see. How do we want to do that? Oops. Okay. So let me think. What if for a template for builds show, we just use basically this same thing, but then like it would have to have an include for that turbo frame. I'm going to try something. Okay, so if we go to the project show page, obviously it's not taking us to any particular build. But if on the project show page, I put the build show frame, um, let's put it like at the beginning. That's going to fail because there's no build. Yep. Okay. So here I'm going to say build equals builds dot first. Oh, okay. Interesting. So it put that build right here instead of right here. What would make it go there? Oh, yeah. Okay, let's try this. Build detail. Yeah. Okay. So that is basically what we want. So now every time I refresh this, it shows that. Build show. Oh, I have that turbo frame tag thing duplicated. Okay. Okay, so let's do this. App views builds detail. App views builds detail.html.erb. We'll put that there. Okay. And then here we'll do render detail. I don't know if that is possible. Yep, okay. Okay. And then here we can put, whoops. But we don't want just detail. We want builds detail, right? Yeah, builds detail. Okay, I did something wrong, but I don't know what. Oh, I need a do. Okay. Okay, so that seems to work. I can still click on stuff. Okay, but okay, you know what? That's fine. Because every time I visit this, I actually do want it to open the first build by default. In other words, the latest build. Oh, it shouldn't be build.first, it should be build.last. No, it seems to be meaningless. Okay. Builds.order created at dot last. That, oh, it's not, okay. It's the ID, not the commit. I should put the commit here, not the build ID, because that's confusing. Okay. Instead of saying build, I'm going to say commit. And by the way, I know we're at the 1 hour mark roughly. If anybody needs to hop off at any point, um, no problem. I'm going to keep going for a while still. Okay, let's not do build.id. Let's do build.commit hash if I have that right. Yes. Okay, so it's grabbing the bottom one. I want it to grab the top one. That first. Great. Okay. Now, I just made kind of a lot of changes, and none of those were necessarily related to the actual thing we're building. So we can maybe commit those separately. So let's figure out how to separate these things. Okay, thanks for coming, Sanjeet. See you next time. Okay. Okay, let's do this. Git reset. I'm going to create a separate branch. What am I going to call this? I'm going to call it default build. Okay. What have I changed in projects controller? Just that. I do want to add that to this change. Okay, what have I changed in build show? Okay, I want to keep that. What have I changed in projects show? Okay, so all I want to keep of this is this. So let's do this. I'm going to copy this chunk. Then I'm going to check out this file to reset it back the way it was. Whoops. Okay. And now if I do git diff on this project show page, it's just that. So I'm going to add that. And I certainly want to add this detail page. And I don't want to add this Chrome change or the build navigation spec. Okay, so first let's make sure this still works. Okay, that all seems fine. Okay, wonderful. I'm just going to review these real quick to make sure there's no surprises. Okay, no surprises. Um, and I am confident enough to commit this just straight to main. Okay, add default build. Okay, and I did that so that I don't. Oh, I didn't mean to. Okay, I committed something I didn't mean to. I committed part of the config. That's not a big deal though. Okay. I did that because I don't want to pollute this navigation change with all those other changes. Okay, so now if I run this again, I'm expecting a lot of it to fail because we don't even have the JavaScript that we had before. Okay, and now I'm going to go to the project show page again. I'm going to add back the JavaScript. Okay, I think that's correct. Let's see how this looks. It's not changing the URL. Interesting. Was that the right JavaScript? Let's copy their old JavaScript. Oh, here's what I pasted. Let's use that. We don't want the prevent default, don't want the turbo visit. Oh, this one's doing the prevent default. That's probably why it was not, maybe why it was not working. Okay, now it's changing the URL and it changes what's on the right-hand side. Okay, that's a bug, obviously. Okay, if I refresh this, okay, so the URL is changing. And if I refresh this, it just goes there. Okay, so that's not what we want. So we can fix that, but I'm going to run the test and see what happens. It's getting annoying to have the browser keep popping up, so I'm going to change that config back. Oh, and I no longer have that build link thing, so we got to bring that back. Um, ID, build link, build.id. Okay. Now let's see what happens. Okay. And I have the wrong expectation. The build heading should now be commit, and then the build dot commit hash 0 to 7. Okay, now we just get one test failure. Yep, it's on this one where we say after refresh, it keeps the left pane, which it of course does not. Because again, excuse me, if we click something and we refresh, it just goes here. Okay, so project show, build show. We could, all right, I'm going to do something really dumb and then we'll like fix it. But I'm just going to copy this entire thing. I'm going to go to the projects controller and the builds controller. And I'm going to copy the body of show and put it in here. We go to a specific build. Oh, okay. Oh, there's no project. Okay. Yeah, that's not too hard to get. Um, we can grab the build ID. Grab the build ID and then say project equals build.project. Okay. So now if we navigate to a build and then refresh, we see the same one. All right. And then if we run this test, does it pass? It does pass. Okay, so this is really stupid and duplicative. Like it's just a whole bunch of lines of the same exact code. So we're gonna want to address that, but it does work. Okay, so how do we do this in a smarter way? First of all, I think it's kind of illogical how we visit this page and it's project slash blah blah blah, and then we visit a build. Oh, that doesn't even work. We visit a build and it doesn't say project slash the project's ID and then build slash the build ID. It's just builds with no project. So I feel like we should make that nested. But again, that's independent of these changes we're doing. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a new branch. I'm going to call it fix build navigation. I run the whole test suite locally just to be sure. Doesn't take very long at all. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm going to say fix build navigation. Okay, and then on main, I'm going to change this route to be nested. Hmm. Right now, oh yeah, okay. Big routes. Okay, so the only way I'm going to be able to tell, I think, is if I go to the network tab and click something and then look at the URL here. Yeah. Okay. So builds, I'm going to put builds inside of projects. Hmm. And I got confused for a second just now because I saw all that API stuff. I think I want to put the API last. Okay. There. And now I'm guessing this won't exactly work anymore. Yep. Okay. Project show. Um, build path. What was it? Yeah, build path. Oh, I see. Um, how do I fix this? Maybe I just have to do, what if I put project build path? Missing project ID. Okay. Project build. Okay. And then here, whoops, projects, blah, 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 builds, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's wonderful. I'm going to run the test suite. Everything passed. By the way, I'm going to look on staging here. Okay, everything's still passing apparently. Okay, so I'm going to say make build routes nested in projects. Now I'm going to go back to this fix build navigation branch and I'm going to do a rebase main and I think we might get a conflict. Yep. Waiting for OpenDiff to open up. There we go. Okay, so what I want this to be is project build path. Project build path. Project build. Okay. Git rebase continue. What's going on? Okay. That apparently just worked. Git push force. Run. Oh, there's something we need to do. Okay, project show, build show, and this is why duplication is bad, is because now we have a divergence here. I need to update the other place. Okay, fix template. Okay, now we can figure out how to unify these things. I want to make sure my tests still pass, actually. Okay. Okay, now how do we unify these things? We have our project controller and our build controller and project show and build show, which are very duplicative. Okay, so really, what are we looking at here? This isn't a project show page. This is a build show page because we're looking at a build. No matter what, we're always looking at a build. So I'm going to extract part of this. Hmm. Let's see. What do I extract? Okay. So I never again want to come to project/project ID. I only ever want to go to project/blah blah blah/builds. And like when I click on this, I just want it to default to the first build. So let's do that actually. Project. So project index. So no, we're not going to link to the project. We're going to link to project build path, project.builds.last. Oh, but a project might not have any builds. Okay, so we can't do it like this. Yeah, because a project might not have any builds. And that makes me realize, well, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. So when we get here, we just want to redirect to the last build. Yeah. No. Projects controller. Okay. What's builds? Huh. Okay. Oh wait. Okay. Okay. Builds equals. Oh, we're already sorting it. Builds dot first. Oh, we can just do this. And then maybe we can do redirect to build. Let's see if that works. No. Redirect to project build. Okay. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to fix it. Fix this. Hmm. I know what I need to do. Project build path. There we go. Okay, so now when I click on this, it just takes me straight to this specific build, meaning that I can just delete this. Goodbye duplication. So now if I try to run the test suite, what happens? Okay, we get at least one failure. Not surprising. Okay, filter spec. Okay. Let's test this manually and see what happens. Oh, so it tries to filter and nothing happens. Okay. Interesting. I don't know if I really want to be dealing with that right now. Hmm. Let me think. Yeah, okay. That's fine. Let's fix this. Maybe it won't be very hard. Okay, here's the old way. Okay, yeah, it just has this is the filter code. Oh, it does have that here. Okay. So why is this not working? Does anything happen at all when I click this? Apparently so. Okay, so I'm going to put a binding.pry here. Is it even reaching that? It apparently is not. Okay, the form seems to be getting submitted. Oh, it's getting submitted to projects show. Ah, okay. Um, see view. Okay, form. Yeah, here it is. Okay, we want to, instead of project path, we want it to go to project build path for the current build. Okay, what happens now? Okay, now it seems to work. Odd that it changed the build, but I don't want to deal with that right now. Okay, let's see what happens if I run the tests now. Okay, everything passes. Review my changes. No surprises there. Remove duplication, we'll say. Okay. Does everything work now? Refresh the page. Yeah, it stays. If I if I want to link to the same one, I can navigate straight to it. Yeah. Should really have the commit message here. Um, but I think that works. Okay. So I'm going to go to main and I'm going to git merge squash fix build navigation. And the one last thing for today is that I'm going to add that commit message. Sorry, I think I'm going to do two things. I'm going to extract this stuff here. So I'm going to go app views, projects, um, hmm, let's see, build list, build list. Maybe I want to do app views builds list. Yeah. Okay. Render builds list. That seems to work. As usual, I'm going to run the whole test suite just to be sure. Okay. Okay, no surprises there. We'll say refactoring. And then the very last thing we'll do is add that commit message. Build show. Okay. Well, I guess I want to go to build detail. Okay. Build dot commit message. I don't know if that's what it's called or not. Okay, apparently so. I don't like the way this looks. I'm just going to do this. Oops. Okay. Okay. Yeah, now I can see a bit more clearly where I am. And I'm not worried yet about making this aesthetically pleasing. I want to add, I want to make it easy to use and I want to be able to see the right stuff. And then I'll come back and on a subsequent pass, I'll make it nice looking. Add commit message. Okay. Okay. Well, I am pretty happy with all of that. And then off camera after we end here, I'm going to deploy this to staging. Any questions or comments, guys, about anything we did?
Yeah, a couple questions. That's
Yeah,
okay.
definitely.
Um, so I wanted to ask if that would work without the JavaScript. That's the first one.
That's a very
Um,
good question. It'd be nice. Um, build show. Yeah. I don't see how. According to ChatGPT, the answer is no. And based on this, I'm not seeing how that could work, but if there is a way, I would greatly prefer to do it a way that does not involve JavaScript.
well, right now the JavaScript is adding to the history only, right? It's just adding to the history of the browser. But doesn't that happen by default? Or
Hmm.
why doesn't that happen by default?
So if we comment that out, we get no URL change. You can see as I click around, it's not changing.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And is that because it's changing the something with turbo? Why does that happen?
I think this history.push state is just a native JavaScript thing. And I suppose a little bit of a misleading API because it says history.push state, which makes you think that's all it does, but it also has this side effect of changing the URL in the browser.
So why doesn't clicking a link change the URL in the browser? Like by default. Is that not what a link does?
It does, but I think Turbo is kind of Turbo, I think, is probably preventing the default behavior of that link and instead rendering the content of the target URL in a turbo frame. So we're having to like override that default turbo behavior and manually change the URL.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another question I had was, and this is kind of more general,
Mm-hmm.
because I guess you're building the SaturnCI product.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you said that you don't really care about the UI right now, the design, we're gonna work on that later. But then to me, this idea of having two panels and like clicking and it opens the new panel, is that not part of the UI and then something that you should handle later?
Good question. So it's not that I don't care about the UI. I care deeply about the UI. And in fact, that's the main differentiator of this product, that the UI will be better than SaturnCI or GitHub Actions. It's that I don't care so much about aesthetics right now.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so my my kind of mental model of how this all will work. Let me go to staging because there's, oh no, this failed. Okay, the filter spec failed. Okay, let me come back to that in a second because this is surprising. Okay, so I'm on main and let's run rspec. Interesting. Okay, so the first failing commit was this refactoring that we did. Let's take a look at that. Um, what did we do? Oh, interesting. This change to this build list. That's surprising that that would have that effect. Can we like let's do revert no commit. Then let's run the test suite again. Okay. Still fails. So if I go back to here, does it pass then? Okay. And then if I check this out, does it fail? No, it doesn't. Interesting. But it failed on CI. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do git checkout main. And then the idea that this would have caused a failure is very surprising. Oh, I see. Okay, you'll see in a second what's going on here. So this filter feature, like if I do, for example, branch filter, it's expecting not to see main in the branch list, but if there's like a commit to main, wait, where does it see it? Filter commit. Oh, it's looking for the commit messages. Yeah, okay. So this commit add Chrome is on main. And so if I go branch filter, it's expecting not to see that commit, but that commit still is there. Huh. Um, well, let's go by something else. Let's just scope it to this. Build list. Okay. So everywhere we're looking for filter commit. Let's do within build list. Does that work? Yeah, okay. So let's do this. Fix test. Okay, sorry about that, Ori. What were we talking about before that?
Um, I think we were talking about design versus aesthetics, or UI versus aesthetics.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
and
you were
I had
saying that
said,
your idea with the UI for SaturnCI is dot dot dot.
oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. So it's kind of inspired by Finder, where like you have these two panes, and then let's say I go to this failure and I want to see details about this specific test failure, then I could click on that and everything like shifts to the left. And then this pane that's on the right becomes the left pane, and then the test detail goes on the right pane. And then there's like a left button that you can click to shift everything back the other way and get to where you originally were.
Right. So this UI of the panes is like a big part of the product. So it makes sense to
Yeah.
work on it.
Yeah, exactly. And a big part of my like philosophy for working on this and coding in general is like I don't want to have things that are partway done. I want to have everything that's there all the way done before I start working on a new thing. And so I didn't want to allow this navigation flaw to be there while I like went and worked on the next thing. I want to get this completely buttoned up so that I'm working from a solid foundation.
Right. How does that help you if it's completely done before moving on to the next bit?
Good question. If you have like a bunch of loose ends in a project, it's just it's easy to get confused for one. And like you're clicking around and stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, that's not really completely working yet. This isn't completely working. And then like the those little defects can multiply against each other. And some of these defects, like the longer you go without fixing them, the more expensive they get to fix. Like it didn't seem like probably a big deal. Like to me, it didn't seem like a very big deal to make it so that when you refresh the page, this persists. Like conceptually, that's very simple. But then it prompted me to like change the whole routing structure, and I changed the one controller to do something completely different. Like I fundamentally changed the like I changed like fundamental parts of the code in order to support this. And in fact, it like shifted the mental model of the whole thing just a little bit. And so now, like if I had left that for like a few features from now to go back and fix that, it would have been so much work, so much more work to do what I just did.
Right, makes sense. So you don't like leaving loose ends because maybe they have kind of big changes that you don't expect. And then if you want to kind of come back later, it's going to impact everything and
Yeah.
take loads of time.
Yeah, that's one reason. Another reason is like there's a cost to having multiple parallel projects at one time. And it's much cognitively, it's much cheaper to have just like one project or task going at a time. And if you have things that aren't finished, then like if you imagine each project as like a band or a strip, it's like you have one project that's like partway done, and so you have to like in your mind have this project still there, and then you're starting another project. It's like a Gantt chart or whatever, where these projects are still in progress, and so they still take up space in your head. It's better just to get them completely tied up and finished. That way you can forget about them completely.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else before we go?
Jason, I had a quick
Yeah.
question. So
Uh-huh.
going back to the JavaScript that we added, um, I guess, are you making use of stimulus controllers right now? Are we doing that? And is that something that we can move it to the stimulus controller, or do you think a script tag uh,
Good
does it
question.
better?
Um, in general, I really enjoy stimulus controllers, and I'm sure that this project will make use of those. Um, this what I did right now is a little bit heretical because it's like, what is this, 1998 or something, having the JavaScript in the inline script tag.
Mhm.
Um, but actually, I feel like this is fine the way it is because this isn't like hurting me right now. Um, And in fact, if this were in a separate place, it would be like harder to discover that it exists. The fact that it's here in the same template makes it very obvious that it exists. Um, and so I'm not feeling enough pain yet to be motivated to move this to somewhere else. And honestly, I'm not sure where it would go if I were to move it to somewhere else. So I know that this is not what I'm going to permanently want, and I'm sure that I'm going to change it some way eventually, but I don't know what yet. And in general, when I have something I'm not happy with, but I don't know how I'm going to change it yet, I prefer to just leave it because later the pain will become so great that the way to alleviate the pain will become more clear. And so I'd rather address it at that point.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks guys for joining me, and I will see you next time.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.